Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sendaparatna. Grab your favorite drink, get a snack, and we'll get started. Today I have one of my favorite teas, vanilla bean macaron. I absolutely love this tea. I barely need any sugar in it, so it is really fun. And because every year at the 4th of July, I get suckered into something that is red, white, and blue. Last year it was Twinkies. I ate one and then desperately tried to find other people to eat them. And I'm in the same situation again. I got red, white, and blue chocolate covered pretzels. And I've eaten 3, and now I have a whole bucket of them. So here we are. Let's get real. So I want to talk a little bit about something that happened this last few weeks and a verse that I've been thinking a lot about and kind of what I am processing through. How about that? So here we go, right? I am a puzzler. I love puzzles. I am kind of addicted to puzzles. I have a lot of puzzles, and now I've joined a group where we exchange puzzles, or you sell puzzles for $5 or less, which when you're buying them from someone and you know they have all the pieces, $5, woohoo. In fact, I found one that I fell in love with on Amazon, and it was $40, and I'm like, I know that if I wait long enough, I'll be able to get that for $5. So that's my new goal. Anyway, I found this perfect puzzle. I am just scrolling through my Facebook feed and doing something that, maybe I shouldn't be doing, but I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed and I see a Scrabble puzzle. Now, my in-laws love Scrabble. They're fantastic at Scrabble. I don't play Scrabble with them because it's not a fair fight. My husband and I used to play Scrabble a lot before we had Samantha, and maybe that'll become our new hobby. I don't know, that or looking at birds. We haven't decided yet. I know, wild people that we are. But I found this puzzle and I contacted the buyer and she was like, absolutely, send me a Venmo. And we set up the time to meet. I Venmo'd her the $5 and got the puzzle held. And so I'm driving out, not feeling super great on a Friday, and I'm just kind of feeling gross. And I'm like, Lord, I'm just, my brain's a little foggy, but here I am. And so I go out to this lady's house and go up to the door, and she comes out. She's really sweet. And she gives me the Scrabble puzzle, and she's like, thanks for coming out. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Anything for a puzzle, right? And she was like, hold on just a second. I have 2 puzzles that someone gave me. Would you be willing to take them? And I was like, I didn't bring money. I didn't say that. I just kind of was like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, do I have cash in the car? Because I try to carry a little bit $1 or $2 in the car at all times in case you see a lemonade stand and you need to help every little entrepreneur out there. So I try to buy the lemonade. I don't normally drink it because I've had some really bad experiences. So I'm like, okay, I maybe have a couple bucks in the car. And I was like, oh, they're really pretty. Yeah, I'll take them. And she was like, okay. And she handed them to me. And I'm like, how much? And she was like, no, I told you someone gave them to me. So I'm giving these to you. You just pass them on when you're done to somebody else. And I was like, oh, that is super sweet. Here we are. I got my mother-in-law puzzle and I got 2 puzzles for me to pass on to someone else. And I get in the car and I'm turning around and it hits me, Jenny, this is the verse you've been pondering and that you've been saying all of your, for the last 6 or 7 years. We say just part of the verse. Given, it shall be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over into your lap. What the measure that you give will be given back to you. And that's in Luke, I believe, 6:38, just in case you want to go and check out what I just said. But it was it hit me, Jenny, that's Luke. And do you remember this verse? And I was like, okay, why am I coming up with this verse right now? And it was a reminder of I planned on giving it away And God was like, here already, pressed down, shaken together, running over, more than what you're going to give, I've given you too. And it was just such a phenomenal thought that God had already provided a blessing for me that I had already once I'd given. And I plan on passing on the puzzles to somebody else once I get to those. But it reminded me of such a principle of giving that we've kind of lost. I don't know. Maybe everybody else hasn't lost it and everybody else is on the ball. But we often feel guilted into giving. Giving is something that I've said many times is taught. It is not our nature. It is not something that we're like, oh, I want to give everything away. Yeah. That's not our nature. It is something that's taught, something that's cultivated in our own lives and in our children's lives. It is something that you really have to learn how to do. And I remember when we were lots of years ago, we were in premarital counseling and we had to take some tests, right? You have to take a test and see how you work. And the pastor looks at Kevin and I, and he was like, Kevin, you need to figure out how to work into your budget to give a lot away. Because your wife is going to want to give more than you're financially able to give. So you're going to need to put that into a budget. And Jenny, you're going to need to learn how to work on a budget when you're giving stuff away. And we have really cultivated that in our own lives. Not that giving a puzzle is that big of a deal, but we have really tried to cultivate that in our daughter's life, in our own life, into our budget. Giving is such an important piece. And we give because we love, right? You give because you love. And when you give to your church and you give to ministries and you give to missions and you give to your friend, you give them a casserole, you give them those things out of love. I was part of I don't know what they called it, meal ministry back before I had Samantha. I was part of this meal ministry. And so we made a bunch of meals. We'd get together, make meals, or you do it individually. And we would send meals to people that were in the hospital or were sick or had a brand new baby or had a surgery, all those kind of things. And I remember, I did it out of pure love. There was nothing that I expected back from anyone. But God is so faithful. And he does say there, give and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And when I had Samantha, I had so many meals from people that I love and I cherish. And I remember all of those meals. I remember the pastor's wife that brought me chicken noodle soup, and she probably doesn't even remember bringing me chicken noodle soup, but she brought me chicken noodle soup and a beautiful card and a friendly smile and was like, here, I'm just dropping this off. I don't need to stay. We don't need to visit. I love you, and left. And it was a moment that I remember, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And that's not why we give. We don't give to be given back to, but it is the great principle that God has put in place. And so my challenge that I really feel like God's calling me to right now, besides that I need to continue to give, which I think is super important. It's something we're cultivating in Samantha's life. It's something we're cultivating in our own life. We cultivate it in our ministry. Yesterday we were at a church and it was so beautiful. My daughter was running our table because we sell books. And so she's at the table and I'm talking to some people and Kevin's talking to other people. And I look back and there's this little, probably 8-year-old, and Sam gave her one of our coloring books. And the little girl was like, would you take my stuffed dog? And so it was this little stuffed dog that she gave. And Sam's like, no, honey, it's your dog. You keep it. I'm okay. Enjoy the coloring book. And the little girl's like, no, but I want you to have the dog. I want you to have this. And Sam was like, that's really sweet. But it's a cultivating of giving. And it was just so sweet to watch that exchange happening. And giving is so uncomfortable sometimes. I know why people give anonymously, because it's uncomfortable, because you're like, how do you handle this? Did I give enough? Did I not give enough? It's always like this weird balance, but you give as you can, right? And it's out of your heart and your love for whatever you're giving, or your obedience. Sometimes you give to the church and you tithe your 10% because you're being obedient. And sometimes there's a moment that for me, it always happens whenever we go to church and it's our home church, and I try to go and make sure that my wallet does not have all my cash in it, because my cash ends up going to whatever is happening. They're like, we're buying a bus for this ministry, put your money in the bins, mark it for the bus, and all my cash ends up in there, out of obedience, not because I'm like, oh, maybe this is going to come back to me, pressed down, shaken together, running over, like an investment. That's not why you do it, right? And so I just wanted to come before you because I really feel like God is saying to me, Jenny, I want you to start looking for the ways I'm pressed down, shaken together, running over back into your lap, that when you're giving, it's coming back to you. I want you to start seeing those. I normally probably would not have seen the two puzzles as God saying, hey, I see that you're giving. I would have been like, bonus, ooh. I love puzzles. And yes, I was excited about them. But God was like, Jenny, I want you to start looking around. I want you to start seeing how I am multiplying things in ways where you maybe wouldn't normally see that multiplication. That your food is stretching further than your food stretched last week, because that is what I'm doing, Jenny. Just those kind of pieces, looking around your life and seeing how God is putting blessings in your life. Not that you are seeking them, but that they're happening, and that you're more aware of what God's doing and how He is continually giving to you. So that's my challenge. My challenge to you this week is open up your eyes, look around, see what's being poured into your life right now. See what kind of blessings are being poured into your life that you're like, oh, you know what? I bet this is that verse in Luke 6:38. Give, and it shall be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over into your lap. Whatever measure you give will be given back to you. I pray that you will see an abundance of blessings in your life in this next month. That you learn how to give to others in a way of it not being a duty, but so out of the love and compassion that you see for others around you. Every time you go to one of these stores, any store, they're like, would you like to give to whatever we're doing at that point? And I've actually had to say to my daughter, we only do that twice a month. And she's like, Mom, why? And I'm like, because every time we are in a store, they ask for $1 to $5. And if we give $1 to $5, we can't afford to go to stores. So we could do it twice a month. That's our limit right now, honey. When you get your own budget, you can give more, especially because they're not places that we're really connected to. So we have that kind of thing in our lives because you want to give and to cultivate that in your own life and know that God sees it. And I'm excited to hear what God has for you, and while He's pouring out His blessing on your life and giving you more than what you gave. Well, you can find me at Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and Be Real. You can also find me at christconnection.cc. All of my info is there. We are actually now booking out into February for next year, 2024. So if you are interested, let us know. I do have some openings for Christmas teas, but not very many. So if you're interested, please reach out. We would love to hear from you. And get out there onto the Facebook world and go to Real Life with Jenny and tell us how God is continuing to bless you as you're giving to others. Have a great week.